Now I've got some exciting news to share with you. Mark your calendars for CrimeCon Manchester 2025, partnered by True Crime. And it's set to take place on the 27th of September 2025. So CrimeCon UK is going to Manchester for the first time this year. And I will be there, along with some of the biggest names in true crime, at what will be the ultimate true crime event. And whether you've been watching my content from the start or you've just started binging, this is your chance to meet me in person, share your theories, and perhaps even uncover new details behind some of the stories that I cover. I'm beyond excited to meet you all, and I have no expectations that the reverse is true. But join me and the true crime community at CrimeCon Manchester, partnered by True Crime, the expert-led true crime channel available across all platforms. Let's make this the most unforgettable CrimeCon yet. You won't want to miss it, and I hope to see you there. Now on with the episode. Today we're looking at a combination that is awful in the extreme. Worse even than the combination of Scrappy-Doo with the classic characters of Scooby-Doo. We've looked at both of these phenomena before, and they do frequently coexist. And nowhere is this combination shown more strongly than in today's case. These two recipes for disaster are toxic relationships and the hazards of addiction, especially to illicit substances. We're heading to 2005 and to Austin, Texas, to look at the tragic and senseless case of Jennifer Cave. This is Murder of Crows. Austin is the capital city of the US state of Texas, with a population of 961,855 as of the 2020 census. It's the 13th most populous city in the US, 5th most populous in Texas, and is the second most populous US state capital after Phoenix, Arizona. Austin is the county seat and most populous city of Travis County, with portions extending into Hayes and Williamson counties. Incorporated on December the 27th, 1839, has been one of the fastest growing large cities in the United States since 2010. Located in central Texas within the Greater Texas Hill Country, it is home to numerous lakes, rivers and waterways, including Lady Bird Lake and Lake Travis on the Colorado River, Barton Springs, McKinney Falls, and Lake Walter E. Long. Austin's history dates back to at least 9200 BC, with early habitation by Clovis peoples and later by indigenous groups such as the Tonkawa. During the 1830s, pioneers began to settle the area in central Austin along the Colorado River. Spanish forts were established in what are now Bastrop and San Marcos. Following Mexico's independence, new settlements were established in central Texas. In 1835 and 36, Texans fought and won independence from Mexico. Texas thus became an independent country with its own president, Congress, and monetary system. In 1839, the Texas Congress formed a commission to seek a site for the new capital of the Republic of Texas to replace Houston. When he was Vice President of Texas, Mirabeau B. Lamar had visited the area during a buffalo hunting expedition between 1837 and 38. He advised the commissioners to consider the area on the north bank of the Colorado River, near the present-day Congress Avenue Bridge, noting the area's hills, waterways, and pleasant surroundings. It was seen as a convenient crossroads for trade routes between Santa Fe and Galveston Bay, as well as routes between northern Mexico and the Red River. In 1839, the site was chosen and briefly incorporated under the name Waterloo. Shortly afterward, the name was changed to Austin in honor of Stephen F. Austin, the father of Texas and the Republic's first Secretary of State. Austin and San Antonio are approximately 80 miles or 129 kilometers apart, and both fall along the I-35 corridor. The combined metropolitan region of San Antonio and Austin has approximately 5 million people. Austin is the southernmost state capital in the contiguous United States. Residents of Austin are known as Austinites. They include a diverse mix of government employees, college students, musicians, high-tech workers, and blue-collar workers. The city's official slogan promotes Austin as the live music capital of the world, a reference to the city's many musicians and live music venues. Austin is the site of South by Southwest, an annual conglomeration of parallel film, interactive media, and music festivals. In today's story, it is Austin's reputation for education and as an environment for students that sees two very diverse people being drawn to the city. Jennifer Ray Cave came from a broken home. Her biological father was an alcoholic, and her mother put up with it for an ostensibly long time. They did eventually get divorced, but the whole experience created an empathetic, if a little naive individual in Jennifer. After the divorce, Jennifer and her family moved to Corpus Christi, Texas, and Jennifer graduated from the Mary Carroll High School in 2002. Later that year, she moved to San Marcos, Texas, to attend Texas State University as a finance major. She dropped out after only one semester and struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, while also working as a hostess at a fancy steakhouse. Parties attracted her like moth to a flame, and where there were parties for this age group, there were almost always illicit substances. Colton Aaron Petoniak grew up as a good Catholic boy in Bryant, Arkansas. He was an exceptional student and was also an altar boy, but he did have a dark side. For example, Colton would mercilessly poke fun at fellow students for their non-white heritage, while at the same time astonishing teachers with his wide knowledge. He earned a scholarship to the University of Texas at Austin upon his graduation. He began attending University of Texas in 2001 and got accepted to the Delta Tau Delta fraternity. But his dark side and desire to display an alpha persona ultimately saw him fall foul of the fraternity and his frat brothers more widely. While in the fraternity, he created a gangster-esque persona for himself, and in doing so became addicted to drugs. And he became obsessed with movies like Scarface and wanted to be just like Tony Montana. As you do. In early 2003, Colton was arrested for driving under the influence. He didn't particularly care about rehabilitating his actions or recovering from his addiction. Instead, he used his brief stay in county jail to make himself seem cooler to his peers, particularly his fraternity brothers. But they became so uncomfortable around him that they ultimately kicked him out of the fraternity entirely. As a result, he moved to his own place, which then, unsurprisingly, became a drug hovel. Eventually, the University of Texas suspended him, and he started taking classes at Austin Community College the following spring. Now, as we touched upon earlier, Jennifer was struggling. She began showing signs of addiction, and this worried her mother, Sharon. But Jen insisted that she was okay. She kept her apartment, a stray cat, and a boyfriend named Mark, and all seemed largely controlled, until Mark broke up with her. On the same day that he ended their relationship, Jennifer showed up late and clearly high to her fancy steakhouse job. They fired her immediately. And it was around this time that Jennifer and Colton's paths crossed for the first time. Colton had flunked several of his classes at community college, and he was on a lengthy drug bender, always a good look, I think. He and Jennifer met at a party, and for Colton, he fell hard and fast for Jennifer. But she didn't feel the same way about him. For her, they were friends, and things stayed that way for 2 years, though not for lack of trying on Colton's part. He was obsessed. He would take her on what he thought of as dates, and give her all the drugs she could want and ask for nothing in return, apart from some of her time. Bystanders could see that the relationship was unhealthy, but Jennifer was the type to give someone second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh chances. In a humorous aside, he called 911 because of his drug-induced paranoia, and when police came to the apartment, they found Ambien, Xanax and other prescription drugs sitting out in plain view. Naturally, the officers arrested him for possession of a controlled substance, a Class A felony as compared to the Class C misdemeanor he'd faced before. What a fucking genius. Toward the end of 2004, Jennifer started dating a man named Scott. And Scott was a single dad who helped her battle her addiction. As a former addict himself, Scott was intimately familiar with the difficulties Jen was facing, in a way that her well-meaning family and friends weren't. He could and would enforce the boundary that drugs were not allowed around his daughter, and if Jen wanted to stay with them, she would have to quit. And the influence of the strong and, more importantly, reformed character of Scott helped Jen begin forging a new path. By the start of 2005, Jen had all but cut ties with Colton and with drugs. Things were looking up for her, But since she is the subject of this episode, we'll see that things do change. Colton began dating an aspiring lawyer named Laura Hall. When I say dating, what I mean is Colton would sleep with her and get her addicted to drugs. If that's dating, I am bloody glad that I am single. Even though Laura believed them to be monogamous, he still slept around with whoever he wanted. For the record, and something that will come as absolutely no surprise to you, you smart cookie, Laura despised Jennifer from the moment she first heard about her. She was jealous of the friendship that Jennifer and Colton shared, especially because she herself was head over heels for Colton, and therefore saw Jen as a romantic rival. It didn't matter to her that Jennifer had never been interested in Colton beyond friendship, or that she was still dating Scott. Colton spent the next 6 to 7 months emotionally manipulating Jennifer, calling her all the time and leaning on her for everything. As mentioned before, Jen was extremely empathetic and cared about people, almost to the point of distraction. In June 2005, Colton went on trial for his drug possession charge. His defense claimed that the search that had led to the drugs was illegal, which was completely untrue. As stated previously, the prescription medicines were sitting completely out in the open, and Colton had invited the officers into his residence. The jury sentenced him to 60 days in prison, and he got out in 20 for good behaviour. Whoop-de-doo! That's gonna sort him out, isn't it? Around this time, Jen became unsure about her relationship with Scott. She wasn't ready to have a family, and she didn't enjoy financially depending on him either. As a result, she began applying for jobs and was adamant she was going to stay off drugs yet again. When Colton was released from prison, Jen's friends begged her to stay away from him. But she still saw him as a good guy, despite his previous misdeeds. Rose-tinted glasses, anyone? Jen also amicably broke things off with Scott. She wanted to stay in his daughter's life and still be friends. And for his part, Scott believed their breakup to be temporary and that they would get back together eventually. Jen moved in with a new roommate named Denise. But without Scott as a positive influence, Jen began using drugs again. She and Colton spent more and more time together, and as we have established, that was never good for Jen's mental or emotional stability. So now we move to August the 16th, 2005. And it is here that we need to look at a more detailed timeline for the following 2 days, for reasons that will become very apparent as we move through the timeline. On August the 16th, 2005, Jennifer interviewed for and got a new job as an administrative assistant at a law firm. Thrilled, Jen reportedly felt very optimistic about her future for the first time in a long time. She and Denise watched a Lifetime movie together that night, and when it was over, Jen got her outfit ready for the next day and asked her roommate to make sure that she was awake at 6:30 a.m. And overall, she seemed to be in good spirits. Now that night at 10:30 p.m, Colton called Jennifer, inviting her out for drinks to celebrate her new job. She hesitantly agreed. As per usual, Colton was erratic and oscillated wildly between wanting to get his life together and continuing to be a wannabe gangster and drug dealer. What a fucking wank badger. On August the 17th at midnight, Colton and Jennifer broke off from the group of friends that they'd met at the restaurant. Well, that bodes well. It's always worked out so well before. At 1 a.m, Jennifer called her friend Michael, who, upon hearing that she was with Colton, tried to convince her to go home. Jen insisted that she was okay, and that was the last time anyone heard from her. At 6:30 a.m, Jennifer's roommate, Denise, heard Jennifer's alarm going off and figured that Jen would be along in a few minutes to get ready for her first day. But when Denise got out of the shower and still hadn't heard anything from her roommate, she knocked on the door and peered inside, but Jennifer was nowhere to be seen. At 8:30 a.m, Jen's new boss noticed that she hadn't arrived yet. Curious and somewhat concerned, he called her but got no answer. A few hours later, Jen was still a no-show, so he ultimately got in touch with her mother, and Sharon spent the day trying to contact her daughter, calling all of her friends to ask if they'd seen her. She finally got hold of Michael, who informed her that Jennifer was last seen with none other than Colton Pitoniak. By the late afternoon, early evening, Sharon, her boyfriend Jim, and Jen's sister Vanessa travelled to Austin to search for Jen and to get answers from Colton. They camped out at his apartment, but he wasn't there, and neither was Laura. They called the police several times, but other than a mother's intuition, they had no probable cause to enter the premises, especially while no one was home. But understandably, the family thought, fuck it, and eventually Jim broke in, only to discover his surrogate daughter's dismembered corpse in the bathtub, covered only by a bath mat. Her head and hands had been removed and were later found in black trash bags on the floor. Jesus Christ on a fucking rally chopper. Not wanting to disturb anything, Jim went back to Sharon, but couldn't bring himself to tell her the whole grisly truth. He had to tell her that he'd recognized Jen by the freckles on her feet. This time when they called the police, funnily enough, they got a much more proactive response.
Austin 911, do you need police, fire, or EMS?
Please hurry, please hurry. Our address of the emergency?
It's at Orange Tree Apartments, 25th Street. It's 20.
Can't get the address. Ma'am, hello? Ma'am, I need the address. Ma'am? Ma'am, I can't send help if I don't know where to send them.
Sir, this is 911. We have a lot of help on the way. I just need to be able to confirm if she is conscious and breathing.
No, I think she's dead.
Okay. Is there any way, do you think that we can go in there and get her flat on her back and we need to start CPR until the paramedics can get there?
There's nothing. I don't want to touch her. I mean, this is a real gruesome, messed up scene now.
Okay, so she is past, you believe she's past doing CPR?
I do, and I also believe that we've got a crime scene here that I don't want to disturb.
Okay, I understand. Can you give me the female's name, please?
Her name is Jennifer K.
Jennifer K?
C-A-B-E.
Officers showed up and declared the area a crime scene, and the pathology done on her remains would show the overkill and brutality involved before and indeed after the murder. The bullet had torn a violent path through her ribs, then through the lower area of her right lung, and finally sliced directly through her aorta. This injury was fatal, but that doesn't mean that her suffering stopped there. Her killer had mutilated her corpse by stabbing her 18 times in the face and several other places throughout her body. Most chilling of all, an X-ray of Jennifer's head showed a bullet behind her left temple, but there was no entry wound. Experts later determined that someone had shot the bullet into Jennifer's detached neck, meaning they probably held her severed head up and shot the gun into her neck just to prove a point. Fuckity fuck. Because Colton had been the last person to see Jennifer alive, he immediately became the first suspect in her murder. Unfortunately, his car was still parked outside of his apartment, so they didn't know what he was driving. Just that he was going towards the Texas-Mexico border based on the pings from cell towers. On August the 18th, 2005, Colton and Laura arrived in Mexico. They stayed at a Holiday Inn in Piedras Negras, which was just over the Rio Grande from Eagle Pass. 5 days later, on August the 23rd, a Mexican SWAT team surrounded the hotel and captured the two fugitives. Officials drove the two to the border, and upon their arrival there, U.S. Marshals arrested Colton on suspicion of murder, taking them back to the States in separate vehicles. Laura was not immediately apprehended, especially since she told anyone that would listen that they weren't fugitives and that they were simply on vacation. Seriously, Laura? Seriously, though?
Ashley Hall, you are under arrest.
Oh my God.
Okay.
What's gonna happen?
You're gonna go to jail.
What did I...
You gotta tell the truth. Okay, now we're back at the apartment.
Yeah.
Alright, and this is somewhere around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Colton let you in.
I sat down. I saw the purse. I saw shoes. I saw shorts. And I was just like, what is this? Like, you invited me, like, over and there's some other girl here. What is going on? And he had the bathroom door closed, and I was just, like, in the bathroom, like, waiting for me. Like, what is going on? And I was like, who is this? And he goes, shh. He got up, went over. There's a body in the... No, there's not. No, there's not. You know. You don't believe me? Come and see. Okay, sure. Let's see the body in your bathtub. You know. Yeah, right. Opens the shower curtain. There's a body in the bathtub. Puts a machete on top of it. I got the out of the bathroom. I was just, but I mean, two goals. One, get out of this bathroom. Two, don't let Colton think you're gonna call the police.
Did he say what he planned to do with that body?
He said he was gonna cut up the body. That's it.
Cut up the body and get rid of it. Did you see at any point him doing anything to further that exercise?
No.
No?
God, no.
Okay. Did you see any evidence of any preparation for that?
God, no.
Okay. After he told you what he had planned to do with the body,
Yeah.
did he ask you to help him?
No. He told me to get out of there.
On Monday, January the 29th, 2007, Colton Petoniak was convicted of murder and was sentenced to 55 years in prison, though he will be eligible for parole once he serves half of that sentence. As for Laura, investigators uncovered DNA evidence linking her to the post-mortem mutilation of Jennifer's body, including the gunshot into her severed neck. Are we surprised? Are we fuckers like? This meant they could charge her with both hindering apprehension, a third-degree felony, because Colton was wanted for murder when they fled, and also evidence tampering, which is also a third-degree felony. In 2007, the jury found Laura not guilty of hindering apprehension, but guilty of evidence tampering. After they read the verdict, Sharon gave a victim impact statement addressing Laura directly and Colton by proxy. Jennifer's mother said that she hoped her daughter's murder haunted Laura for the rest of her days. In 2009, Laura appealed her conviction and had a resentencing hearing. But in 2010, the state gave her a harsher sentence of 10 years in prison and an additional $16,000 fine. Hope you enjoyed your appeal, you entitled fuckstick. Jennifer's mother Sharon said later, "I wish every day that I knew why. Why was she killed? Why did the things happen to her body afterward? Every day I question why, but I can't live in why world." Colton Petoniak is still imprisoned at the Robertson Unit, a maximum security state prison in Abilene, Texas. As for Laura, she was ultimately credited with time served, made parole in 2018, and hasn't been heard from since.
An infamous West Campus murder case is getting out of prison.
You go every year, and you write your letters, and you prepare.
Tonight, Jennifer Cave's family reacts to Laura Hall's parole.
A former UT student linked to a gruesome murder in West Campus will be released from prison tomorrow.
Laura Hall is getting out on parole tomorrow, just a few months shy of her 10-year prison sentence. She helped her boyfriend, Colton Petoniak, dismember Jennifer Cave's body in his apartment bathtub.
Tonight, KXAN's Aaron Cargile spoke to Cave's mother about the release.
Jennifer would be married. Jennifer would have at least 2 children. She'd be happy.
But instead, Jennifer Cave's mother has spent many days going to every single parole hearing over the last 10 years, each time writing a new letter pleading with the state to keep Laura Hall behind bars.
So what did the last letter say? How is it different than the letters before?
That this chapter is over.
When she walks out of there tomorrow, how will your life be different?
Not one bit. My life became different in August of 2005.
The day Petoniak told authorities he killed Cave after going on a date, but his attorneys tried to say Hall actually killed her.
I wish every day I knew why. Why was she killed?
From her home in Corpus Christi, Sedgwick says getting involved in the local women's shelter has helped her heal and has no fear for the future.
I have hopes. I hope that she can get on with her life.
She has no words for Hall, just daily reminders of her own daughter.
Even today at lunch, and the lady in front of us ordered buttermilk pie. which was Jennifer's favorite. And I thought, okay, I get it.
Erin Cargile, KXAN News.
We've not been able to reach Hall's family and have left messages with her attorneys. Hall's parole conditions include a GPS monitoring device. Colton Petoniak is serving a 55-year prison sentence for the killing. Records show he will not be eligible for parole until 2033.
Today marks the 15th anniversary of the murder of Jennifer Cave in a West Campus apartment. A warning: details of Cave's death are graphic. Her parents found the 22-year-old in a bathtub covered in blood. She'd been shot, stabbed, and her body mutilated. Police also found a machete and hacksaw with blood on it. Investigators say Cave had been out to dinner with 22-year-old Colton Petoniak, who'd lost his cell phone and was upset about it. After not hearing from their daughter, Cave's parents drove to Austin from Corpus Christi and made the gruesome discovery. Petoniak was convicted in 2007 of Cave's murder and is still serving a 55-year prison sentence in Abilene. Laura Hall was convicted of tampering with evidence and hindering the apprehension of Petoniak after the two fled to Mexico. In 2018, she was released on parole after serving nearly 10 years in prison. University of Texas students, professors, and graduates have put together a true crime podcast on the Jennifer Cave murder. The hosts of The Orange Tree dive into the court records and interview people involved in the case. It's put together by the Drag Audio Production House and KUT. The Orange Tree is available on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
And that was the horrifying case of Jennifer Cave. A story of toxicity, drug addiction, and also of escalating female jealousy. The result was the senseless and brutal death of an innocent woman who only made the mistake of trusting the wrong man. We have seen it many times, but it is tragic each and every time we hear it. Even though she relapsed several times, Jen was starting to get her life back on track. And funnily enough, every time she did so, she was distancing herself from Colton Petoniak. This video is of course dedicated to Jennifer Cave, and I send love and condolences to all of those affected by what would have been a devastating loss. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. Don't forget that CrimeCon UK will be coming to Manchester in September. And there is still time to get involved with one of the UK's finest true crime events. And if you use my code CROWS, you can get 10% off tickets. But with that said, I'm Steve. Samson is hating the heat and has gone off in a diva strop. So in his absence, I would just say, I'm Steve, and I'll see you when I see you.
Say that